Okay, this is the last video on our series Constructing Pipelines. You recall previously we created our generic pipeline, we created the stages that we wanted and the order of those stages. We also specified on the particular stages which forms needed to be sent to candidates or completed as a result of a candidate appearing in this pipeline stage. So when a candidate is placed into the registration stage, the candidate registration will be completed. Just as a recap, we had our candidate registration form. I've gone and created in advance now our induction, our interview and our phone screen forms because they very much follow the same principles as the candidate registration. At the end of each of the forms, we provide the person who's completing those forms either as the recruitment consultant who's reviewing them or the recruitment consultant who is completing them to decide which stage that candidate will be moved to at the completion of that form entry. So let's go back to our recruitment and now let's recruitment pipeline and let's bring it all together. So the first thing we need to do is determine what happens now at our entry stage. We know that at this stage they get moved depending on the the recruitment consultant's review. We know that the phone screen, again, the recruitment consultant will decide the next stage as they do with the interview, the reference and induction. But that's slightly different for our entry stage, it's different for our arrange interview, and it's different for our right to work because we have no assessment forms created against them. So let me explain the logic behind that. So on the entry stage, what we want to do is when it is complete, we want the candidate to be moved to stage number 100. As you can see, there are no actions being required of the candidate or the recruitment consultant or anybody in the business to complete this stage. So by definition, a candidate arrives in the initial stage, it's complete, and they are then automatically moved to the registration phase. They come into the registration phase, they are sent the email notification which we associated with this registration assessment, and the recruitment consultant will review this registration when it is completed by the candidate and determine which next stages they will be assigned to, unless of course the candidate has identified in the registration that they are not an Australian citizen. When they answered a question that they are not an Australian citizen, we pointed them directly to this stage. So what we need to do now is tell the system that this stage, if they come to this stage, we want to perform a VIVO check. A VIVO check is where the system makes a dynamic call to a visa provider through an API, and the visa details of the candidate is returned dynamically. There is no intervention required from the user. You might recall that when we built the registration form, we asked for passport and date of birth because we have to send that information in the API call to Vivo to return the correct visa status. When the visa status is returned, the system will automatically move the person now to stage number 300, which is the phone screen. The phone screen is created, a task is created for the recruitment consultant. The recruitment consultant then decides which is the next stage to go to. If the business consultant moves them into the arrange interview, then we need to make sure that that interview is created, an appointment made before the candidate moves on. We do so by stating this as an event stage. This means that until an event is created for the candidate for this job, they cannot be moved from this status. But once the event is created, they will automatically be moved to the next stage, stage 500. So we save that. When they get to the interview stage, they then are assigned an interview form to be completed. This interview form will be completed by the recruitment consultant. We will also send a appointment notification email. So this is the first time we've described this, but this is where a particular template gets sent because the candidate appears in the stage regardless of whether or not we've got notifications assigned to the assessments that we've created on this stage. So here the candidate, when the event's created, they get automatically put into this stage. The interview assessment form's created for the recruitment consultant, and the candidate has received an email with the appointment details and location of that appointment. At the end of the interview, the recruitment consultant will decide the next stage. Assuming the next stage is the reference check, a reference check form will be created, maybe one or more. If the candidate has 2 referees maintained on their file, then 2 reference checks will be created for the recruitment consultant to complete. When at the end of the reference check, they then decide whether or not it's going to be going to induction or rejected. And here we say induction forms created. This time though, the induction form is not being assisted or completed by the recruitment consultant. This induction form is being sent to the candidate and will be reviewed by the head office recruitment consultant. At the end of the induction, the recruitment consultant gets a task to review that, and they will either decide to accept that person into the position. If they do, they'll be taken into this stage and they will be automatically created an employee role. And when the candidate is appointed an employee role, their user experience changes to become one of an employee rather than one of a candidate when they log into their business portal. So that is the process that we have created for an automated onboarding from registration to acceptance of our candidates. I trust this has given you a good enough understanding and what is possible. We're going to continue now and create your other pipelines, but they will all be on the same basis of what we've shown you here. So I'll just do a quick catch up in the next video on what we were doing there. Thank you very much.